All right, good Wednesday morning. Welcome to the WLBB Community Voice on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3, streaming live online at newstalk1330.com. This morning we are also on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. You can see my guest here. I'll introduce you to him right now. A single contested race for the Carrollton City Schools Board of Education seat is on the ballot this November. Just one. I think there's two other candidates that qualified, incumbents, and they were unchallenged. But the at-large seat does have a challenger. I believe the at-large seat means that everybody in the city of Carrollton
gets to vote for it.
Correct. For that. All right, so that one should get the most people voting. That's what we're hoping for that. Melanie McClendon, she is currently the city school board at-large representative. She is being challenged by Time Holt, and we will introduce you to him this morning. Good morning, Tim.
Hello. Well, good morning, Colin. My name is Time Holt, and I'm a retired educator. I'm married. I've got 3 children. I am a lifelong educator. I've received my bachelor's degree from West Georgia, my master's degree from Jacksonville State University, and my specialist degree from Lincoln Memorial. I taught school over 20 years. I was a substitute teacher, assistant teacher at Carrollton Elementary School, bus driver, teacher, coach, and school level administrator. And I would love to be the next city school board member. I believe I have the experience in education, and also I believe I have the policy that I think that most of us in Carrollton have conservative fiscal beliefs, and I believe that that is the number one issue, is the spending of the city school board.
All right, we will definitely talk about that on this program. Again, Time Holt, our guest. If you have questions or comments, feel free to post those on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page, and perhaps one of the handsome young men behind the glass will let me know if there are some up there, and I'll take a look at those and share those with the masses. All right, well, first of all, why are you running? Why are you running now?
Well, I have over 20 years experience in the in schools, and also I believe that a lot of us get too wrapped up in national politics when really it's at the local level where the biggest change can take place. What really motivated me was I live in Carrollton, and I got my property tax, and my property tax for my house went from let's just say X amount to 2X plus 40%, and I just don't believe that was appropriate for my property. Now, I have heard that they've rolled back the millage rates at the city council level. However, the assessments didn't really. There's some government math going on, Colin, with these assessments and property tax.
Well, in theory, when the city rolled it back, I mean, they rolled it back, so you shouldn't have been charged anything additional from the city. In theory, that's what the
in theory. However, if the assessment goes up, then yes, your taxes do go up, which is, and I don't mind my taxes going up in a reasonable way. However, when they go from $100 a month to, if you break it down monthly, to $240 a month, that's almost like I'm renting from the government. But that was it. And then I actually took a hard look at the specific city budget, and I saw some items that didn't line up, in my opinion, that were not appropriate for a school system with 4 schools.
All right, Tim, this question may break your whole candidacy here.
Okay.
Do you believe the earth is flat?
Well, I believe that we should take a look and then from the globe and then see. No, I do not. That's more of a joke.
You did kind of worry me for a second, Tim.
That's more of a joke that I run with my cousins and stuff, because they live out in Texas.
Worse propaganda here.
They live out in Texas, and it sure looks flat from there. If you if you don't see the curve, just because we don't see things don't mean that they're not there. So that's more just a joke with my family.
What do you see as, and it's funny, we had to talk about that beforehand, but that came out. But what do you see as the board's job and responsibilities overall? I mean, it's not a 24-hour job, I guess, but
that's exactly true. And the best board members do not get involved in the day-to-day operations with schools. The board job is to set policy, hire superintendent, and approve the budgets, and also to be a listening ear for parents and community members. But we're the board exists to support teachers, support students, and to have the absolute best school system we can possibly have for the best value.
What do you see as budget priorities?
I think budget priorities, if you go line by line, the general spending of $6.2 million on administration, I think is out of line. I think that could be cut. Now, as far as teachers' pay, I do not believe that teachers' pay should be cut at this time. Carrollton City, actually, with their local supplement, is a good paying school system for teachers. I do think that bus drivers, when I looked at bus driver salary, I do think there's some room for that to be increased. However, you're talking about an outlay in budget for 35, 40 bus drivers of a couple million, that, even if they received a 10% raise, it would not crush the budget. But some of these others, going line by line broadly, could be cut a little.
Tim Holt, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program, is a candidate for Carrollton City Schools at-large seat. He is challenging Melanie McClendon. Have you been a supporter of the education special purpose local option sales tax in the past, and would you be a supporter if it's proposed in 2 or 3 more years for the?
Well, it seems like 85-90% of the people I ever talked to were huge supporters of SPLOST. Because I always say it's just 1%. And I think sometimes the SPLOST is a great idea because it spreads it to even people who don't have to pay property tax. So more people are paying that. I guess we've always heard pay your fair share, and it's a tax where a lot more people are paying. Now, does it need to be continued? I'm a big believer that taxes, local government and government in general should be small and shouldn't be overtaxing and overburdensome.
All right, Tim Holt, our guest. Does it bother you a little bit? I mean, when your taxes do go up because of when they increase the taxes, because maintain the millage rate or raising the millage rate, but then you're still getting that eSPLOST? I mean, do you ever see a time where that? I mean, because I wasn't here when it was initially sold, but I have to think that was a talking point when eSPLOST was initially sold. Maybe it was the late 90s, that, hey, we don't want to raise your property taxes. So
I think it was more sold on just the basis that everyone would have to pay it, and it would not be added to people's property tax. And as far as like the property tax in and of itself, I'd like to explain, and I'm sure the listeners understand this, maybe some people don't understand this, is that they talk about the taxes actually being lower now as far as the city officials are concerned, because they roll back the millage rate or the percent that they're taxing on the property tax. However, when the assessments, and they know the assessments are going to double or triple, then rolling back the millage rate by 20%, still, for me, Colin, I'm a simple guy. If I paid $1,000 in property tax last year and this year I got to pay $2,400, my taxes went up. Now they can say they roll back the millage rate, and yes, their government math is correct. They roll back the millage rate. That is a good thing. However, if they know that the assessments are going to double, then there's some funny math going on there.
Government math. I like that phrase. Tim Holt, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. We'll take our first break and come back and continue our conversation. Again, if you have questions or comments, please feel free to post those on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page, and I will try to bring them up when we return from this first break. Our show brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy.
Oak Mountain Academy is an innovative school of academic excellence celebrating a 61-year legacy. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school, inviting you to join us for our annual Fall Festival. On Friday, October 27th at 3:30 p.m., join us at the OMA Gym for food, fun, and fellowship. Costume, games, raffles, and competitions are just a few of our Fall Festival exciting activities. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
Time right now is 8:40. Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice, News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. Hey, Lisa Lee, glad you're watching us on Facebook this morning, but no, come on. We can do better than that. Tim Holt is my guest this morning. He is a candidate for City School Board at large. He's challenging Melanie McClendon for City School Board at large. Early voting begins next Monday, right? October
That's
16th.
correct.
And Election Day is November 7th, which is the second Tuesday, or is it the first Tuesday?
I believe it's the second Tuesday.
Second Tuesday of the
Because
month?
it can be on November the 8th.
Okay. All right. Again, Tim Holt, our guest on this morning's program. Let's talk about the role of the superintendent. Do you see the school board as being the boss of the superintendent?
Oh, absolutely not. No, the school board's role is to approve the budget, look at the budget, and to also hire superintendents. But no, to be like the daily boss, no, absolutely not. And I'm glad you asked that question, because as a lifelong educator, I have seen or heard of that kind of thing happening where perhaps a board member is trying to get their family member or their second cousin's wife's cousin a position, but that is not the role of a school board at all.
Would you ever have interest in letting voters pick a superintendent at the polling places?
Well, I remember when I was a child, where I grew up, that I remember seeing the signs, vote so-and-so for superintendent. However, I like the idea of the city electing their individual school boards for the wards, and then the school board appointing superintendents. No, I like the idea of the school board better.
What do you think about the job that the current superintendent is doing?
Well, I think he's done a phenomenal job. Carrollton City is one of the best schools in the state, and one of the best schools in the Southeast and in the entire world, as far as the top graduates at Carrollton City become doctors, lawyers. So he's done a phenomenal job. The teachers in Carrollton City are top notch, in my opinion. The bus drivers, the cafeteria workers, and even I would say that even the parents are top notch. I mean, their community support is phenomenal. So I really think he's done a great job. Now, as far as he's not perfect. I'm sure he's made mistakes, and I'm sure he'd probably admit to mistakes that he's made. But no, I have nothing but nice things to say about him. And even the current board, even though I disagree with the budget increases, I have to say I'm sure they're all very nice people, and because they come to serve, and that's what I would want to do, is come to serve the community and serve the teachers and all the stakeholders at Carrollton City.
The Carrollton City School Superintendent, his salary ranks pretty high compared to a lot of throughout the state of Georgia. As far as
I know that's never fun to talk about someone's pay.
Sure, it's not. But he's a taxpayer.
He's a community servant.
Right. Right. I'm never a big fan of doing that. I mean, I kind of.
But now put it in perspective.
But do you think his performance is commensurate with that pay? And then how do you determine how much somebody at that level would get paid? I mean, are you comparing it to all the other schools? And
I would compare it to other like-sized school systems. Right now, the city spends $350,000. If you go to opengovernment.gov or opengA.gov, I believe it is, and you can be nosy and look at everyone's salary. And right now, his salary is commensurate with school systems of 30, 40 schools. For example, the school superintendent at Carroll County, Scott Cowart, his salary is $250,000, and he has 24 schools. I can imagine that 24 schools and the different clusters would be much more taxing than 4 schools. Not to say that it's not taxing being the superintendent of Carrollton City. As a school administrator, there are many things that come up, like cat litter in the classrooms, or if you've watched the news over the years, you'll see issues that come up, and of course those issues are always one-sided, because only typically in education, educators aren't allowed to really say exactly what happened because of privacy laws.
Tim Holt, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. Well, in deciding how to pay a superintendent, are you basing it on the school's performance, on teacher performance, because there's other things that he's juggling that don't get as much attention?
Well, that's a good question, Colin. I think that all of those things are important, but also what's important is what can we afford. I love my children, and
that's good.
and I would love to buy them a Mercedes, but can't afford a Mercedes. We might have to get a Camry, and you might have to get a part-time job to help pay for it. So yes, performance, the size of the district, but also what the taxpayers can't afford to pay. And talking to community members, that has been probably one of the biggest issues. As I haven't heard a lot of negative stuff about Carrollton City. I've heard, well, traffic's a problem. Well, it is that they're all 4 schools are there together. That makes sense that traffic would be heavy in those areas. But most people, what their issues are is that, if Habitat for Humanity houses, or for people in starter homes that have worked, and just to double our taxes, we can't afford that, or at least, I can't afford it, and a good percent of the Carrollton residents can't afford it, and I think that's something that the school board should also be aware of. Is that yes, the superintendent's done a great job, and the schools have done a phenomenal job, but what can we afford? And one thing I would not cut is teacher pay. I believe that teachers have the highest calling, and they deserve every penny. And in fact, I think that teachers should receive a stipend for their classroom every year. I think it's a shame that teachers ever have to pay for items that go in their classrooms.
You mentioned that you don't hear a lot of complaints about Carrollton City Schools District. Now, and I'll agree with you 100% there. And I believe, and I've talked to administrators with Carroll County Schools District. We've had that conversation, because they do get flack for a lot of things. People are more vocal on social media. But, talk about what that brand means to you, that Carrollton City Schools brand. Well,
even in the 90s when I started my career in education, it's the gold standard. It is, phenomenal students, and I believe that's where it comes from. Is when you have phenomenal students, great parents, great teachers, great administrators, and student and community support. So that means a lot. And I think that's the number one thing is for a school board member is, first, you don't want to do any harm, but what can Carrollton City improve on? I think they can improve vocational education improvement, and I think they can improve on their transportation. The transportation department. I think that the traffic around the city schools could possibly be solved, and maybe having some satellite locations for buses to pick up students to lighten the traffic in that area. But again, those are small things. I think the number one thing is supporting students, supporting teachers, and Carrollton is a wonderful school system.
Tim Holt is challenging Melanie McClendon for her at-large seat on the Carrollton City School Board, and he's our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. Early voting starts on Monday, so everybody in the city of Carrollton will get to vote for this seat. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post those during this break, and I'll try to look at them for the next segment. Otherwise, you are stuck with my questions. Time right now is 8:50. We good, Josh? Okay. We'll come back with about 9 minutes. Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy.
Oak Mountain Academy is an innovative school of academic excellence celebrating over 61 years. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school, inviting you to join us on the mountain to see our mission and vision in action. Academic excellence, a faith-based environment, and dynamic opportunities are just a few of the reasons our families choose Oak Mountain Academy. Academic scholarships and tuition assistance are available. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
All right, time right now is 8:50. My name's Colin Worthington, by the way. I probably should have said that. I always forget. Time, again, 8:50. Community Voice, brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy. Guest this morning is Tim Holt. He is running for the at-large seat on the Carrollton City Schools District, currently held by Melanie McClendon. We're going to try and get her on the program. She's had a pretty busy schedule. I've been having a problem getting her getting a day that matches with our availability, but perhaps we can get her on after this one. Again, time right now, 8:51. Let me try and just throw out some questions here as we wrap up this last segment. What is the status of student academic achievement, you think, in Carrollton City Schools?
Well, the latest reports actually rated Carrollton City, I believe, number eighth in the state.
Because that's important to know. It's not, for you to know that.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm already impressed that you had the budget out there and could pick things out too, because I don't think a lot of people come prepared for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, eighth in the state of. I was a Georgia history teacher for several years, which is the best class to ever teach. And there's 159 counties, and then I believe there's 10 city school systems. That might have changed, but Carrollton ranks number 8th. In that, and also, again, the number one graduates from Carrollton City. I mean, I would put them up against any graduate in the world. Private school, New England school. They're just a phenomenal school system.
Would you ever vote to ban a book from the school district's libraries?
That's a good question, Colin. Now, if we're talking about explicit language, pictures, yes. Now, if you're talking about classic novels, no.
But one's approach gender, religion, or
they would have to be looked at one by one. But no, I'm absolutely not a fan of banning classic books. However, I also have faith in our media specialist that if there were books that they deemed inappropriate for our community, they would have already weeded through those. But are you talking about brand new books? Books
that would be actually in the library. I mean, if you're going to say that, leave it up to the media coordinator. Books that are in the library, a parent sees it and says, I don't like this book because it suggests something about race that I don't agree with, or gender, or religion.
Well, they'd have to really have a good point in it. It couldn't. What was the book that the guy that shot Lennon always quoted?
Mark David Chapman. Hunter. Catchers in the Rye.
Catchers in the Rye. Yeah, that one. I read that one when I was in school, and I didn't have the feeling to go kill anyone.
Strong man.
Now, I just never. But no, classic literature, absolutely not.
State legislators are expected to revisit school choice vouchers in 2024. What's your view of school choice, which is basically allowing education funding in your district to follow a student if they want to go to a different school?
I disagree with that. I think that would open what you would call Pandora's box, and every, I think that our community money should be spent in our community, and at our local schools. Because what's to prevent someone from just starting a home school and then falsely enrolling 100 students and gaining $10,000 a student? I don't think people have really thought that one out, because there would be a lot of, there's a potential to be a lot of criminality there.
Well, it's been discussed for years and years and years. I mean, the door's not been shut on it, but they do continue to discuss it. What do you see as the district's educational gaps or weaknesses?
The gaps, I believe, are for vocational. I believe Carrollton City could do a better job with vocational education improvement. And I'm retired as an educator, but sometimes I'll get little jobs doing renovations, and it's amazing to me how many people can't read a tape measure. who can't do that cannot do what I would think would be a basic skill. So I believe that improving vocational education is important, and the fact that everyone who graduates from high school should have a skill coming out of high school that they could possibly fall back on, maybe even radio show host.
Well, it's nothing to fall back on. Do you believe that school principals? Do you believe school principals should have autonomy to run their own school building?
Under the broad umbrella of what the superintendent's policies have, yes, but under broad policies.
How about what's your perspective on merit pay for teachers? Do you believe in using incentives to attract highly effective teachers or teachers?
Well, I love extra pay for teachers. Merit pay is a hard one because in education, no two students are the same. You might say they're same race, same gender, same socioeconomic background, but even that, the students are never the same. So it is incredibly difficult to actually implement that. It's a nice thing to say, you're going to get paid for the performance. And also some teachers work extremely, extremely hard, and the only person that's ever going to notice is the good Lord.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are some subjects that are harder to attract for teachers. I mean, would you, just because that subject needs more teachers in that field, I mean, you give them more pay?
Yes, there should be bonuses for or stipends for in need areas, because I'm sure there's some offerings Carrollton doesn't have in the schools that some students and parents would love for them to have.
Tim Holt is our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. He is challenging Melanie McClendon for the at-large seat on the Carrollton City School Board District. Carrollton City District School Board, yes. And just one candidate. That's the only challenged race on the Carrollton City School Board for this year. Election Day is November 7th. Early voting starts on Monday. And if you're living in the city of Carrollton, you will be voting on this at-large seat, this contested race. Anything you want to say before we go? You want to say hi to Mom or anything?
Oh, yes. Hi, Mom. Hi, Cousin Bobby out in Texas. No, I'd like to just say to the listeners, you may not live in Carrollton, but you have a cousin or a family member that does. Please, please, please encourage them to vote for Tim Holt for City School Board, because even if you don't live in Carrollton City, you still have, if you come into the Carrollton City for groceries or for dinners, you still, the property tax still affects your payment. So please encourage friends and loved ones to get out and vote, and let's get this under control. It's not that that they don't deserve it. It's just that we can't afford it. So we need to get out there, and I'm not buying any signs or any billboards, because I felt that if I did that, then I would be basically owing someone something, and I don't want to have to owe someone something for the funds.
Tim, good to meet you. Thank
you
for
coming
out and introducing us to you. Tomorrow's Community Voice program, I believe we have Leslie McPherson on the program. She is running for mayor in Villa Rica, and then on Friday we have Gil McDougall. If you care about that race and you're in Villa Rica this evening, there is a candidate forum with all four mayoral candidates at 7 o'clock at the Holt Bishop Center. I believe that's what it's called. All right. Anyway, Community Day. Enjoy your Wednesday, everybody. Tune back in tomorrow at 8:30. Community Voice been brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy.